Good afternoon. We are very excited to be here today to give our vision of how your organization can be financially sustainable and to be the best organization going forward in the future. My name is Danielle, and these are my colleagues, Brittany and Inga. We're just going to get right into it. Today, the key issue that we're looking at about your organization is how can urban rehab projects optimize operations to ensure financial stability while continuing to deliver on its mission statement. So what we decided the best alternative for your organization to be is a three-pronged approach. First, we're going to start off with a donation campaign and fee adjustment to really get to the core issue for you, which is financial sustainability and getting that money in the door so that you can pay off all of your debts. We really want to get that taken care of out of the way before we go into anything else. Next, we're going to look at a program review. You have some areas of your organization that aren't being optimized efficiently. So once we've taken care of the money issue and there's no creditors coming to your door, we want to look at optimizing, making sure that you're getting the best value for your dollar. And then finally, we're going to go into a long-term strategic process, just making sure that you're really staying true to your vision and mission statement, making sure you're doing a long-term looking forward and that your organization can really continue to thrive for hopefully eternity and just continue to provide that value to the community. So the outcomes of our recommendation will be financial sustainability through the creation of raising funds, efficient operations, and achieving your mission statement through strategic leadership. So just to go through our agenda today, I'm going to take you through the situation that your organization is in, then I'm going to pass it off to Brittany, who will take you through the alternatives we looked into for you. Inga will then take you through our recommendation and implementation plan. I'll come back for financials, and then Brittany will just wrap us up. So because you're not-for-profit, your mission statement is really the core of what you do. We wanted to really let you know that we took this into account and strung it through everything we did because we want to make sure that whatever we recommended to you was really highlighting the mission statement and staying true to it. So you actually have two mission statements that are related but still different. The first is to improve life in economically disadvantaged neighborhoods in Toronto, and the second is to build a social improvement network in each neighborhood by providing opportunities otherwise unavailable to economically disadvantaged families. So again, we just took these into account in every part of our organization. So first off, I'd like to congratulate your organization. You are doing a lot of things really, really well. We just wanted to highlight those for you. First of all, you have really strong services. The programs you offer are really improving your community. Everything you do gives back tenfold. You're creating daycare programs that are low cost, which allow parents to go out and work, provide, give back to their community, pay for housing. You're allowing educational programs. Everything you do has a give back, and all the programs you offer are strong. You don't really need to be making content changes. The programs you have are strong. Just maybe the way that we implement them is what we're going to look into. But congratulations on really having a strong program core. Also, you have a strong foundation. The founder of your organization really thought about long-term sustainability when he started. He created an endowment fund for you, which was around $12 million when he started. And he created this as a separate organization, so you do have a good accountability and a good governance structure. You also have a lot of connections with government grants. He really did a good job of laying the foundations for you. So again, that's something that you've done really well. You don't really need to touch on because you've done such a good job. Another strength is you have a new CEO who came in, and he's got a lot of experience all in the not-for-profit sector so that he can bring in new ideas to you. But he's also used to be on your board of directors, so he has experience with your organization, and this just really presents a huge opportunity for you, not only to take in these new ideas, but also to just really implement change in this period when you have a new leadership coming in. There are some things that we'd like your organization to work on, and our implementation plan will touch on these and help you improve on them. First off, you have low utilization rates and different utilization rates. One of your centers only has 45% utilization rate, and this isn't ideal. We could be helping more people, we could be having more income and revenue if we're just focusing on the utilization rates and making sure that you're really getting the bang for your buck. And also standardizing. You have 4 locations, and having a variance of 45 to 80 is really not ideal. We want to make sure that any individual coming to any of your centers really gets the same great service and gets the same utilization. Also, you're running an operational deficit, and I'm sure you're aware of this. You've been running at a deficit for the past couple of years, and you've been using that endowment fund and bringing it in, but this is the last year you can use it. You're running out of funds this year. We really need to move you off of this endowment fund and help you become sustainable on your own and not rely on this. So we'll touch on ways to do that later on in our implementation. There's some great opportunities for the sector you're in. First off, has a double waiting list right now. People want your services, they want to use it, you have that demand. People like what you're doing, they value your services. So you're not needing to go out and market them to you, you're just going to focus on an operational way to do it. Also, there's a Save Our Society trend. This is a big popcorn trend, and basically what this is people are more willing to give now. They want to have that emotional connection, they want to feel like they're giving back to their communities. So charities and not-for-profits that are helping their communities and helping individuals are more likely to receive funds. That being said, there are some things in our current condition which make it less likely for people to give. We're just coming out of an economic crisis, and while it looks like we're heading over the hump there's a threat that it could be a double-dip recession and we could go back. And so this makes it so donors are less likely to give, and also affects the ability of your clients to pay the small fee that you charge. Also, there's changing demographics in the neighborhoods you work in. You're finding that some of your programs are becoming irrelevant because the ethnic demographics, the age demographics are changing. So we'll touch on this more in our implementation, but really aligning and realizing that as new populations come in, your services are going to have to change and remain different. So we just want to let you know that we've also taken into account all your stakeholders. When we came up with our recommendation, we want to make sure that we satisfy each of these individuals because they really care and are invested in your organization. The first and most important is obviously your clients. These are the individuals who are coming in and using your services, and they just want to receive quality services and be empowered. They don't want this to feel like a charity for them. They're using these services so they can pull themselves up, so they can find employment, so that they can give back to the community and be productive. And so it's really about helping them and providing the most for them and allowing them to exceed the productivity into the community and just creating a greater good for everyone. Also, there's the donor. These are the individuals who are giving money to your organization and who are helping you succeed. And they really just want to see value and impact for their dollar. They want to make sure that the commitment they're giving to you is being given and increased tenfold, and that it's being held accountable for. You also have your employees, and they've recently stressed that job security is an issue for them. Some of them have unionized, and while they really care about your organization and they stress, we could be making more money at other organizations, one of their main concerns right now is job security, but ultimately in the long run, they just want to see rehab projects succeed. The board of directors and executive, obviously you guys want to see the organization succeed. And lastly, your volunteer base. They want to feel appreciated, they want to see their impact, they want that feel-good feeling at the end of the day, and to know that they're making a difference. So there are some key issues that we've seen here, and we're going to correct and resolve them throughout, but the first and foremost is the financial instability that you're experiencing. So you're running an operational deficit, and it's increasing. It started off at $2 million, and now it's around $4 million. So not only is it getting bigger, it's kind of snowballing. So we really just want to nip that in the bud and help you there. And also, your endowment fund will run out by the end of this year. So that's a huge issue. After this, all these great services that you provide, all these people that you help, all this impact you make in the community, won't really matter if you don't exist and if you can't provide those services. So tackling financial stability is obviously a very huge issue here. Also, again, the utilization rate, making sure that we're not having that 40% rate increasing to 80 or 90 to really make sure that you're getting that impact for your dollar, that the donors are getting the impact they would like. And lastly, the changing clientele, the demographic shift. 60% of your clientele is immigrants, and as the immigrant community changes and the age demographics, you start off as providing youth employment, but now you're finding that those youth communities are within the larger immigrant community and the services, English as a second language services and things like that they may need to provide. So really just finding those shifting needs and making sure that you're fulfilling them and helping the entire community in their whole. So again, just to reiterate, our key question is how can the urban rehab project optimize operations to ensure financial stability while continuing to deliver on its mission? So now I'm just going to pass it off to Ricky, who will take you through our alternatives.
Great, thank you so much, Danielle. So based on all of that situational analysis, we've come up with 3 strategic alternatives to address our key question. First is an aggressive cash inflow in the short term. The second is to close your inefficient facilities. And the third is to raise funds and do a strategic review in the long term. I'll go into further detail. So as I said, our first initiative is to get that aggressive cash inflow in a short timeline. So you would be borrowing against your properties and taking some mortgages out on those properties to get that funding into your organization as soon as possible, and then getting rid of excess employees. As you can see, the utilization rates in some of your facilities are lower than what is optimal, and so there is an excess amount of employees. And so some of the strengths of this alternative is that it is going to be that short-term financial solution to your problems with your revenue issues. And then it also will help you to continue delivering the programs that you are having given to the community. Looking towards some weaknesses, there is an issue of your employees' morale being affected, and there may be some issues in terms of your union relations if you do try to let go of some of your current employees. And then secondly, the repayment of loans does create a future financial burden for your organization. So ultimately, this is a short-sighted financial solution and probably not the best option. Looking for a second alternative, this is closing the inefficient facility. So looking specifically at the Haskayne facility, as we've mentioned, it's a 45% utility rate, and this should be much higher. Given that it is so low, an option for you here is to close that facility and to sell the space, because that again will bring that financial sustainability by getting that money in the door right away. Some of the strengths is that you're cutting your operating costs by only operating those 3 stronger facilities, and you also are having your programs focused on the highest impact areas. Some of the weaknesses of this initiative, although, is that it does limit your future growth in that you are limiting the amount of space that you have to provide your services and the amount of locations for clients to come to. Another issue is that you are losing some of those valuable services. It does have that 45% utility rate, and by taking away those services, you may not be able to make up for that by your clients going to the other facility. So again, ultimately this is misaligned with your mission because you are taking those programs away from the community, and it does limit your future growth. Moving to our third alternative, this is raising funds and strategic review. So this is a couple parts to it. The first is an increase in program fees across the board by $1 to $2. So when there was the financial crisis, you did lower that, but considering that we've come out of it, and has been a couple of years, this is suggesting that you do increase that. Another part here is launching a donation campaign. As you looked into, that would cost you about $200,000, but this is something that would generate an additional revenue that Danielle will go into further detail about later. And then finally, another part of it that's going to be very important is reviewing your programs and how you are strategically realizing your goals. So this is making sure that you're delivering the programs in the neighborhoods where they're the most used and where you have the highest demand. So some of the strengths of this is you are creating operational efficiencies by creating those programs specifically for the communities where they're needed. And then there's also long-term financial sustainability by increasing those fees and looking to a better donation and more extensive donation campaign. And this does ultimately align with your mission in expanding your reach and benefit to the community. Some of the weaknesses, as I mentioned, there is that short-term cost of $200,000, and then it is a high organizational change. So this is something that will have to be addressed, but ultimately this does give you long-term sustainability through operational efficiencies. Looking at some of the decision criteria we use to analyze these alternatives, you'll see that financial sustainability, again, it is a key issue. It is one of our main priorities for that criteria. Then looking through there, also making sure that our stakeholders are satisfied with what's going on, and then making sure that what we're recommending does align with your mission and stays true to your goals with your organization and achieves long-term success. If we look through all of our alternatives, we'll see that the third alternative comes out on top in all of these areas, and specifically the ones that it really does satisfy are your stakeholders, it aligns with your mission, and does achieve long-term success. So ultimately, we will be going with our third alternative. I'd now like to pass it off to Inga, who will run you through our recommendation and implementation.
So the 3 phases of our recommendations, first of all, is a donation campaign and fee adjustment. Moving on to the second phase, we'll go into the program review, so this is more strategic. And then we want to look into some of the longer term goals for your company. So going more into that. First of all, implementation, the donation campaign. This is the $200,000 cost that you've already suggested going into. First of all, we suggest creating a donation committee. Currently, you already have 2 individuals working in this marketing area. We want to give them more responsibility and really help them take the lead on this project, as well as aligning them a few more individuals from those areas in your different locations, such as Cabbage, that only have about 45% utilization rate. So using these resources more effectively. We want to take a 2-pronged approach to this donation campaign. First of all, personal solicitation. So this is really going towards corporations as well as past participants. You found that they tend to be a high percentage of your donors because they've used the program and seen the benefits of it, and then coming out successful, they want to give back. And so really soliciting and using these resources. Secondly, having a public campaign. And we're suggesting a
slogan for you, what's your story? So we want you to come forward and really tell the story of the project. Not only the clients, but also the volunteers, as I just mentioned, who have participated in the program and are coming back because of the benefit. Your employees who, although they could be working at another organization making more money, they want to stay with your organization because they really do believe that they are the lifeline in these communities. They have a story to tell, as well as your employees. You all have a story, and we want to hear your project story and really get that emotional connection out to the donors so they understand why it's important to donate, why these funds are needed, and really where is the value. Secondly, raising the program fees. In 2009, we took a step because of the economic recession to across the board lower donation fees by $2. We're recommending that you really implement and add the $2 back in. This really caused the snowball effect into your financial issues you're having right now. And you are already offering services that are 1/10 the cost of competition or other places where they can find, such as daycare. And so although this is an increase for your clients, you're still giving them such an advantage over other competition or other places that they can find these services. And this is really to happen in the next year, as we mentioned. First of all, you need to stabilize your financial situation. You do have a high burn rate. There's really a time limit on how long you have to keep going with this. In the next 12 to 18 months, this is really more of a strategic phase. And so this is centralizing your program management. Although it is important to have autonomy within the different locations, we found that there is those different utilization rates, 45% at one location, 80% at the other. And it's not that the programs you're offering aren't valuable, it's just that the community needs are changing. And so finding out that in some areas there's a double daycare rate than what's available. And so shifting those resources from one location where the daycare isn't being used and putting that to that location and really figuring out what the needs are. And so keeping the programs, finding out where there is the need. And so to do this, we want you to set a goal for a 70% utilization rate to start off with of the programs to help you rank and rearrange the importance of it. And to do this, it's going to be really intensive effort on all of your locations. We want straight from your volunteers all the way up to your CEO, Mr. Molina. It's really important to work together and have monthly meetings to discuss the community. First of all, as I mentioned, the program utilization and the program value in the community. And this is a big part of this is going to be change management. You already have some issues. Your employees and volunteers, they're worried about the success of the project. They don't feel this security within their job, and so it's really going to have to come from the top of the change management to help them understand that you're not cutting the program, you're not getting rid of what they need, but you're really just helping them. So it's really important to communicate the change. So building a strategy, making sure they understand, addressing the concerns, and then constant review as the communities are changing, your programs are going to need to change as well. And then lastly, in the long term, having a biannual strategic meeting so that you can make sure the needs are being met, as well as rebuilding that endowment fund to keep that long-term sustainability. And then even looking into the long-term, updating your facilities. That's something you mentioned you wanted to look into. You don't have the funds for that right now, but in the long term, you can look into that. The outcomes are having financial stability, using the creativeness of what's your story. We really want you to play up on that emotional connection. Having efficient operations through the strategic management, the change management of your volunteers and your employees, as well as achieving your mission through strategic leadership is the final outcome. With any strategic change, there is always risk. The biggest risk we saw is insufficient donations right now, and that's why we really tried to diversify where you're getting donations from through the personal slips, going through personally, and then as well as looking for that public campaign. I'm not just going to pass it over to Lynn to go over finances.
So I'll just really quickly take you through finances here. This is just a projection of the 2011 operation based on the assumptions of growth and decline that you provided us with. And as you can see, even with all remaining endowment funds, you're in a deficit. You can see that the marketing campaign has a 300% return at the minimal conservative things. So we should obviously proceed with that. And that consolidating just the adult education is going to provide you with a lot of resources. So ultimately, our plan is going to help you fuel productivity within the communities that you operate in. It's going to be the best way for you to proceed forward financially and sustainably. Thank you.
Wondering if you could comment about your perception of the mobility of our resources. For example, we know buildings are fixed mobility, but do you think volunteers are really mobile? Do you think staff, can really take bus, to work for us at a new location or something?
I'll just speak to that. So your locations are actually very close to one another. They're within 20 kilometers at the furthest apart. And because your staff is so dedicated, because they have the option to be working at higher paying jobs that they've chosen you, we really believe that providing them with the stability and the increased satisfaction will overcome any dissatisfaction they may feel about a slightly longer commute. But your locations are fairly close to each other, so we feel that this should overcome.
Can you walk me through the $4.9 million loss last year? What we have left in the negative fund, and what the increase in revenue for this year and the year after will be? Are we sustainable in the upcoming year with what we're projecting?
If we look at the projections for the last year, you go run an operating loss. You have about $3 million left in the fund, and if you run at the percentage growth rates that you provide us with, that's what's going to happen. But if we look to increasing fee revenue, it's going to provide you with an additional almost $1 million. So that's going to help provide it with it. Not to mention, we haven't provided you with numbers for how much you'll save from consolidating services. We could really think that it's important. You know your organization best, and you know which facilities are best, which facilities aren't. But if we just look at the adult education program, because you've indicated that they're smaller usage rates in 2 of your facilities, just by switching them to one facility, you save over $200,000. And this, we don't expect this to be cost saving because we understand that some of these are employee costs, but putting that back into daycare per se, where you have such a high demand rate, there's people on the wait list, having those increased fees, the decreased costs, in addition to the almost $1 million coming in from the increased revenue, in addition to the marketing campaign, will put you well on your way. You may still have to dip into the endowment fund this year, but really increasing that marketing will help you.
You have just analyzed the productivity between different facilities. Is there a chance for improvement in employee productivity and also with the decision rate, the actual productivity? Is there any chance for that?
Yes, we definitely think that through engaging your employees as a key stakeholder in this entire process, you will be able to get better productivity through that, and making sure that there is change management so they understand why these changes are happening, and then putting the people who are most interested in those solutions to that program specifically, you'll be able to get them to be more engaged simply because they're working on what is of interest to them. So it's really kind of putting them in the right place and then getting the engagement throughout the process that will get that higher